Hello and welcome to Allot on Air. During the next 10 minutes or so, we'll be meeting with industry experts to discuss the hottest trends in telecom, cybersecurity, and network intelligence.
I am Barry Spielman, Product Marketing Director for Cybersecurity at Allot, and I'm very pleased to have with me today Itai Glick, Vice President for Cybersecurity Products at Allot. Itai, thanks so much for being with me here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Great. Okay, so let's get right to it. So Allot over the last few years has taken on an increasingly larger cybersecurity footprint with Allot Secure. Can you tell me why the solution is unique?
Our solution is unique because it's comprised of different enforcement points.
Okay.
We have an enforcement point that is in the core network. We have an enforcement point in the router itself. And we also have an add-on that completes the solution also for off-net activity. And all of this is managed in a unified platform, which is the Allot 360 platform. And that allows a very, very simple configuration for the consumer and for anybody eventually.
All right. So let's break it down a little bit more. So let's start at a higher level. Can you break down that 360 solution that you're referring to, that CSPs are offering their consumer and small business customers in terms of those enforcement points?
Okay, so the Network Secure, which is the enforcement point located at the core network, has capabilities to prevent phishing attacks, malware attacks, and also to filter inappropriate content from the users. It doesn't require any installation whatsoever on any device. It operates directly on the network, and it's very, very simple to manage. So this is one solution that we have. The second solution is similar to this, deployed at the router on the home level, but then you can also differentiate between different people at the house, different users, the kids, the adults, and so on, and allow for the inappropriate policy to be defined in a granular level per the user type. And then on top of that, you have the Endpoint Secure, which is an add-on to both types of implementation, implemented at the mobile device or the PCs. And with that mobile device or Endpoint Secure, you will be able to block inappropriate traffic even when it's connected off the network, not on the home network, roamings, or also on Wi-Fi, on general Wi-Fi, and provide the protection to the user whenever it's placed.
So a full 360 solution,
Yeah.
Anywhere, anytime. So let's go back to Network Secure for a second from the point of view of maybe you can give us some insight into some of the success stories we've had with this offering in recent times.
So we measured the success of our product first in the penetration rate or the adoption rate that we have in the customer network. We reach very, very high numbers of adoption by users and onboarding to our platform. Again, they don't need to implement anything on their devices, so it's very easy implementation. You actually get the protection just by saying to the operator you want it. Okay, so this is one success, and this is how we measure success. The second thing is we recently won also a deal in Dish in the US, and this actually deal will provide protection for 5G users from any type of threats, malware, phishing, viruses, and also allow content filtering for inappropriate content.
Okay. All right, so let's shift a little bit and talk about the parental controls, which are on the consumer side. And on the business side, it's more content filtering than parental controls, obviously, for obvious reasons. But if we stick with the consumer side for a moment, with so many options out there, why would adults and parents be willing to invest in another solution for parental controls?
One of the great things about our solution is that mainly it doesn't involve the user installing anything on any device. Whether you use an iPhone or an Android or a desktop machine, you can immediately get the protection in your house with our Home Secure product with a very, very simplified configuration menu. Okay, and this would also include old machines, not updated devices, and again, you don't need to go over and over all the devices to configure them or install an application. Right. It's immediately done from the network layer, and this is what it's unique. And so it's simple, and it's implemented within the network without any additional work that you need to do on the machine. So you're not becoming the IT guy of the family.
So let's talk about something else. What's the impact of working from home, which has now become a very prevalent phenomenon, on security considerations and more specifically for small businesses?
As we see work from home in a cybersecurity perspective, it's a nightmare. The user is coming all the time between networks, moving around, putting his machine in unprotected network, coming back to the office, and it's just not protected. A solution needs to take care of all the cybersecurity threats, whether he's connected to the office, in the go, or in his own network. You need to have full coverage of that, and otherwise he would bring what he got caught in a different network to your business,
right? And
then the business is,
in trouble.
Now
we've seen adoption rates for Allot Secure. They can be very high in certain circumstances. What are some of the ways to encourage the adoption rate?
So in order to reach high adoption rate, the first thing is you need a zero-touch solution. Okay. You need a solution that doesn't require the user intervention. And then you need zero-touch configuration, a very, very simplified configuration. This comes with a default profile that immediately protects you. And then you want to continue and engage with the user. You would bring him reporting, you would show him constantly that he is protected to keep him on the protection. And last but not least, you need to make sure that you train your people for cyber awareness. Okay, you make sure that they are constantly trained and understand what are the risks of cyber attacks.
Okay, got it. Okay, so over the last year, we've conducted several surveys, right? Allot, together with Coleman Parks Research in London, we've conducted surveys about the consumer attitudes on cybersecurity, on the connected home, on most recently about small businesses and their attitudes and trends regarding cybersecurity. Now, what stands out to me, and anyone who's read these surveys, I'm sure, is that a very high percentage of consumers, and it was true also in the other surveys, not only believe that the telco should be providing them the cybersecurity services, they'd be willing to switch to those that would, and they're willing to pay for it. Okay, and we even saw that already more than 20% of small businesses are already outsourcing to telcos. So it seems to me there's a huge opportunity here. So how do you see the opportunity that service providers have out there that seems to be out there for the taking?
I definitely agree with what you mentioned. I think that the opportunity is huge. You have billions of people connected to the internet with their mobile devices. You have hundreds of millions of SMBs needing protection. You have a huge gap in the talent pool of skilled cybersecurity personnel, which at the home level or at the SMB level you cannot afford. And finally, you need to provide the solution for the CSPs. So our solution is built from bottom up to meet the CSP grade, and the opportunity there is huge for the carrier providers. And I think it's a core service.
Yeah, I like that core. I like that.
It's something that the CSPs must have in order to attract to them the right consumers, the ones that are willing to pay higher ARPU. This is what makes it more interesting for them.
Yeah, totally. So one last question, and I'll let you go. So where does Allot Secure go from here?
So I think the potential that we have in Allot, and Allot Secure specifically, is huge. We would continue and provide solutions for the mass market, very intensive security capabilities with a very simple management and onboarding experience, and to protect the users from any cyber risk.
Itai Glick, Vice President for Cybersecurity Products here at Allot. Thanks so much for joining me here today.
A pleasure to be here. Thank you.
That's it for today's episode. Thanks for listening. You can get more information about network intelligence and security solutions for service providers and enterprises on our website at allot.com. Subscribe to this podcast to make sure you hear about new trends and technologies on the next episode of Allot on Air.